Yeah, this gentleman there, he has been waiting for quite some time.
Thank you very much, sir. I have 3 questions here. The first is for Mr. Monument. Can you please elaborate further on your review process on the FSC standards? How many times have you done it, and how long does it take you to review and to get it approved each time? Secondly, my second question is to all the panels. In your certification system, do you have a requirement whereby you impose for all your members to have a time-bound plan and to achieve 100% certification in all its holdings? And the third question is from Mr. Mascotena. Correct me if I'm wrong. In RTRS standard, there is no requirement to do HCV assessment in your holdings as long as the cultivations are in line with RTRS approved maps and system, or they are outside priority conservation areas, or they are outside official land use map zones. Now, my question is, my understanding of biodiversity is there are
maybe first they can take these questions, after that you can follow up.
Just one more sentence. You have been speaking the whole day. Yeah, honestly. Thank you. Okay, so my question is, how are you going to address the mobility of the biodiversity? If you just, you don't have to do assessment within the areas. What is the possibility of the species moving out of these zones into your area of interest? Thank you.
Alistair, if you could take the first question first.
Yeah, we've had one major review in 18 years of the principles and criteria. Started in 2008, and it took 3 years, and finished at the start of this year.
Okay, thank you. The other
There was a question about the poll
soybeans.
for every member every year, and that was for all of us. And in our case, there is in the bylaws or in the statutes, it says that every member should report their annual progress. The reality is that so far we are not in a position to press, but more to support the first pioneers of the certification. So we are trying to help them, and in the future there will be time for pressing them to report, and also to certify 100% of their production. So far they can choose their units, but they have to report a risk analysis on the non-certified production that they have. So that's how RTRS is working now in this case.
What about RSPO and the assessment procedure?
Sorry, I think the gentleman who asked that question doesn't need the answer. He already knows the RSPO matters very well. But is that okay, Simon? You already know the RSPO answer, right? Okay.
No, it's okay then. What about the marine?
Well, MSC doesn't have members, and so we don't have a we're not able to have a requirement on members, but clients of the MSC program, it's completely voluntary. They can certify 0.1% of what they're doing, or they can certify 100% if they qualify. It's completely up to them.
You would like to comment on your...
It's much the same. The mill can certify as much or as little as they wish, and within a group, a group can nominate which mills it wants to put through certification. So it's very liberal.
Thanks. Mr. Chandran, I think, has a question.
Mr. Chairman, you started out by asking Darrell Weber how to encourage errant companies to come into the RSPO fold. But I would like to ask the panel, what are the pros and cons of having a 2-level or a 2-tier system of certification in order to encourage a large number of players to adopt sustainability practices? My second question is to Augustine. Soy Roundtable. Why responsible and not sustainable soy? My second part of that question is, United States is still the largest producer of soybeans. How many, as a country, not including Brazil and Argentina, then of course South America is bigger, but how many companies in the United States is member of the Roundtable?
Augustine, you could take the second question first.
Okay, the last question first. Why responsible and not sustainable? This was a hard discussion inside the RTRS, and in fact, it's called Roundtable for Responsible Soy and not for Sustainable Soy. And mainly the discussion was with civil society, and they see sustainability and an ultimate goal, and something that at the end is a way, a path, but not a result that you can achieve. Once you think you are sustainable, there is new developments, and you are not sustainable anymore. So what the best you can do is to be responsible in your way to achieve sustainability. But at the end, you will never be sustainable. Once you put your low consumption lights, then the LEDs come, so you're not sustainable anymore, and you have to change the technology and go forward. And that's why the word responsible and not sustainable is a philosophical discussion, but that's the reason why we are calling it responsible. About US, it's not anymore the largest producer. Brazil this year will be overpassing US, but it's a good question and a main concern to RTRS, how to work with US farmers. And in fact, we have been trying to work with them. And there are many discussions during the last year, over 8 months of discussions with all the lobby of soy production in US. And somehow they do not align with the idea of certification and go individually for each farm. They want a national level of recognition. And how many members do we have from US? Well, we have all the multinational players that are all around the world, including US, like the ABCDs and some others, and retailers and some others. But in fact, it's a pending issue how to really have certified farms of RTRS in US, or a similar standard recognized by RTRS maybe with the American way of recognition or other things. But yeah, one focus is US, and another focus on the demand is, of course, China. China is importing 55 million, the main importer of the world. So if a change in soy is needed, it needs to be focused on China. That's why next year we are having our conference in China, and we are making the efforts to certify the first farmers in China. So our strategy is to go for local production to show that it's possible, the sustainability in terms of local production, to then influence the imports and try to get China into this process of not only asking for volume, but also ask for quality attached to that volume, and in quality meaning sustainability. Because it's also one of the arguments of US or Brazilian farmers, why should I go for a certification or for improving my levels of responsibility or sustainability if China is demanding anyway, and 5 million tons every year more, and even if I'm not certified, I will have someone buying my stuff, so why should I go? And so we need to work with Chinese to align the whole system and to be really a mainstream solution as we want.
Thanks, Augustine. So on the second question on the errant members and the two-tier system, Nick, would you like to start?
Yeah, this is a good one, isn't it? What a cracking question. Do you compromise in order to boost your numbers? Well, fundamentally, no. The idea of a sort of a Bonsucro light or Bonsucro junior or Bonsucro half pregnant or whatever you want to call it doesn't fundamentally appeal to me. But we have to find a way of recognizing good work where it exists. And so the answer may well be in some kind of modular approach. We absolutely have to do something with the grower community, the bit before the mill. Although we certify the mill is nothing without the inputs. So we're going to spend a lot of time thinking around this one. But in much the same way as, because I've been asked a number of times whether there's a possibility of a national version of a Bonsucro standard because my country's special or my country's different. No, is the answer. This is about establishing what best practice looks like, working to a globally benchmarked set of best behavior, and that's the standard. And the moment we compromise on the standard, we dilute its value, we compromise its integrity, we insult those who've actually taken the steps of moving towards becoming certified, and we undo all the good work. So we have to tread very, very carefully in thinking about whether there should be such a thing as a light or modified version, even if the temptation to bring more people in appears to be overwhelming at the time. Never compromise on the standard. Continuously defend it and seek to improve it.